Friday, 8:30. Anyhow, it'll be yeah, on the shorter end of streams, but it'll be a stream nonetheless. Uh, we hope you enjoy the show tonight. On the docket, we've got some DFK talk, some airdrop convo, meme blows. What? And then we'll take it from there. We have some special guests behind the scenes. You'll get to meet them here shortly. There's some oldies but goodies. Without further ado, let me cue. Let's find a video. This one. Let's go with this one. The shorter video. Oh, welcome back, Koopa Brown Jen. Haven't seen you in a minute. KP, you've become a regular. And we've got Bloater there in the background. What's up, Bloater? Super cool. We'll start with just reintroducing you, BG. I mean, it's been a minute. I know you've been in you've been sort of airdrop hunting and sort of sharing your gems when it comes to airdrops here with the community. I know it's been some time, but I saw some tweets today. You've been DFK quiet, but in the background, you're very much bullish. How's it going, man? How are you doing?
Good. It has been a while. I have not stopped caring about DeFi Kingdoms. If any of you have been looking at the tavern, I'm still summoning every 3 days until whenever they change the cooldowns, which I obviously did not vote for, but still really into the game. And I have been buying and selling Jewel a lot. It got to the point where people were actually tracking my wallet, so I started doing it in other wallets because I was like, I had somebody DM me when I sold some Jewel, like, why did you sell? I'm like, what the hell? I'm not even posting about it anymore. Like,
Yeah, no, hey, no, I get it. Yeah. People can track those things. I say, in blockchain, I guess people want to look, they're welcome to. I have a very boring account, although I've been summoning some really exciting things. And if you're not watching or reading through my tweets, I encourage you. I know I bug Kupo every so often with some amazing summons. You're my summon whisperer, Kupo. How are you doing, bud?
Doing great. And honestly, I love seeing those monsters that you make behind the scenes before you start posting them on X or live stream, depending on how you're doing it. So you're really doing a incredible job with those heroes. You started off a little slow and you're like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And now you're like, oh, check out these double resurrections. It's double second lives. Like, what the heck is this?
I know.
Yeah, you've got some monsters going on there, my friend.
I've got some monsters going on. We'll get into that a bit in a bit here. KP, how's it going, man? Like I said, you've become a regular. You've been it's sort of an eventful day for you for Blow. What can you tell us in that regard?
Well, first off, Sarge, I mean, cheers to you. We'll be hanging out tomorrow at Battle Mage, baby. That'll be fun. Hope to see all you guys, in real life at some point in the future. But that's the first thing. We've got to grab some beers tomorrow. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm wearing the same exact shirt I had on last night with the Mythic Squad. So it's been a freaking long day. I mean, it's been a long week. It's been a long freaking year for that matter. But I'm happy to be on here with Brown Jen, who's one of my favorite people in the world. He actually calls it like he sees it. He tells you no BS. He actually will tell you if you're doing the wrong thing to your face, which can be upsetting to some people, but to others, it's refreshing because you know what? It's his opinion. Don't like it, don't have to live with it. Kupo, love you, man. Thanks for the retweet earlier, Sarge. Thanks for mentioning Blow. The bridge is now open. I just actually took all of my wallets. I fried all my bloaters. I bridged them all over to base and I have them staked right now. It feels so good. It's not a ton of money. It's like 45, 50 bucks each one, but they're staked. They're getting more Blow. I'm excited about it. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm happy. I'm going to drink up tomorrow with you because the bridge is finally open.
Hey, super exciting there. We have a video to share. See if I can pull it up here. I think I can.
Blow version 2.
There we go.
The updated bloatercoin.com website is live and packed with awesome new features. We're going to review the buy, fish fry, bridge, exchange, staking, and on-ramp in this video. The buy button connects you directly to Uniswap. Choose the token on base that you want to swap, and bam, you've just bagged a stack of blow. The fish fry feature is as fun as ever. Convert your bloaters and frost bloaters into blow effortlessly. Then, use the bridge to send your blow to the base chain or bring it back. It's as simple as choosing your options. Our new exchange makes it easy to convert your blow version 1 version 2 stakes, along with a leaderboard to check your rank. Compete for the best airdrops and climb your way to the top. On-ramp fiat and connect to Coinbase.
Now, I don't know how much of that you were able to see with Skippy on my end, but the videos on the Bloater Twitter account, feel free to check that out. We'll retweet that here towards the end at some point. Anyhow, thank you very much for keeping. I saw some questions that were being directed my way. I'll forward any of those your way if there's anything. I don't know. I've yet to transition things over, but I've heard some positives from people who've been able to do it successfully. So good for you, Kupo. You had done that earlier, I think. A few minutes after the tweet went out, you were able to bridge over, and you were at number 5 staked wallet, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty easy peasy from your regard. Any feedback there?
No, exactly as they said, it was really easy. I was able to get all those bloaters that I finally had converted over to the original bloat token over to the bridge on the other side. I was able to convert that over to Blow V2, and then I was able to take my old stake from the original Blow version 1 and to put all that together and staked it into V2. So V2 has its own leaderboard, so make sure you guys are aware to take it out of 1, put it into 2, because 2's got its own leaderboard going on.
Sweet. No, super good. I am not, I am the here behind the scenes streaming. I am not as tech savvy as I'd like to be sometimes. Example number 1, or example A here. I was layer 0 airdrop happened. I knew it was launching. I woke up a bit earlier than I would otherwise, and for whatever reason, I just not get it through my head. This forbidden 403 message. I'm like, why isn't it working? My first thought went to the chain's congested. Everyone's trying to. It was VPN. I knew it was the VPN, but it was so early. I was so tired. I couldn't. It's just sometimes it's the dumbest things that can get me. BG, I know you run a Patreon with a group of people who were sort of airdrop farming. Any feedback from people on layer 0? Can you maybe compare layer 0 airdrop to some of the other airdrops? I know you did ZK Zinc to name one, but there's a bunch of others you've been a part of and sort of going after as well.
Yeah, first thing I want to say is, about a year and like 3 months ago, Christian is one who told me about Layer 0, ZK Sync, Starknet, like brought all these things to my attention after the Arbitrum airdrop. So, much appreciated. Like I got $30,000 from ZK Sync because I listened to him and then did a ton of research on my own to figure out like a strategy, but it would not have been something that I would focus on from a long time ago. So I remember like he had sort of given me a bit of a, like kind of pushed me downhill, and I sort of found my path in the end, but like it wouldn't have started without him. But yeah, so I do have a Patreon, and basically we have like 250, 240 people. And basically what happened is, I think, how do I put this? Airdrop and token metagames continue to shift. So at the start, December and January, every influencer thought that would be the golden ticket to blow up their channels, right? So if you guys know me, you'll never see me promise that you'll make $1 million. You'll never see like unrealistic things. The reality is the algorithm loves these, right? So people would say, hey, you can literally type in ZK Sync airdrop guide and you will see people saying, do this to get $1 million, right? So there's unrealistic expectations created on the part of the consumer who's now doing a bunch of useless things. Not just that, but they're doing this on every project. So what ends up happening is they're burning themselves out, farming like 300 different things. The whole purpose of my group is, no, we clear all the noise out. We focus on a few things that are important, and you focus on being strategic, right? So what do we think is going to lead to best rewards? Does that mean you're always going to be right? No, but I feel it's much like you're playing roulette, but you try to cover as much of the board as possible without paying the maximum cost. You try to minimize that, right? So what's happened in these airdrops is every single protocol, the best way to look at airdrops is if you are the token creator, this is effectively your bonus structure. You don't want this token to lose value because the people who invested with you, the people who are on your teams, they're getting bonused out here. So they are trying to find out who it is that is the best person to actually hold my token. And they think, and correctly so, real people versus farmers. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to do an impossible task of, can I decipher between somebody who's going to sell and not? So they try all different mechanisms. Starknet sort of went a little too extreme when they said if you don't have 0.005 ETH in your wallet. But then some people were like lending out in liquidity pools 5 ETH, 6 ETH, didn't qualify, did 3 years, was in the throes of the whole thing. That was bad. ZK Sync, what they did, which I don't think it was bad, they decided purely money on chain. Yes, there's some small aspects that could help you, but the big weight came to, did you leave money on chain? Did you put it in liquidity pools in case that was 2x? There were also a lot of insider things, right? Like they found out snapshot is March 24th. Now you look back in history, the NFT associated with the project dumped that day, clearly insider related, right? Other things also came out. Layer Zero forced a donation on people, which is really weird. And they didn't tell anyone. The thing is, they were so clear on everything. We saw every single Cybele report. We got to see every single list. We got to hear the inner workings of somebody who's like, should I make a durable user, which is somebody who had 3 or more transactions post snapshot? Do they get a double multiplier? Do they get a 50 0 token, then 10, which is what they ended up with? But then this donation piece didn't work. And the way they built the contract, I had people in my Discord and outside who basically told me they claimed on base. It took 4 hours to get it. But not just that, it would fail so many times. And the donation kept getting removed every single time.
Wow.
So all of these things, no one's going to have it perfect. And I don't blame the protocols. Communication is important. The last thing I will say is we're not owed anything. So at one point when I was flagged as a Cybele incorrectly, I basically told people, look, if they end up finalizing this and I'm still a Cybele or Sybil or whatever, how you pronounce it, so be it. I'm not owed anything. This is a gift, right? Yeah. I am not, like, a lot of the time when you're doing airdrops, you cannot do something expecting an outcome. You're not entitled to an outcome. You have an opportunity, but you don't have an outcome. We're not entitled to anything. So this is why I tell people, when people go, somebody said to me, you got 16,000, or they said it wrongly. They thought I got 16,000 from ZK Sync. I got 30,000. They still said, well, you spent a year on it. I'm like, do you think I spent every single minute doing that? No, it's like a few hours, like maybe like 30 hours, and some of it was content created. So like, I think there's also this expectation that money's going to drop from the sky and it's got to be massive. If it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's not worth it. So there's this unrealistic expectations, and what's going to happen is very corrective. So what you're going to find in the next little while is people will drop off, and then people are even more strategic will get even more. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and I know, KP, this is something you called for. I mean, the idea of this being a unique token in many sense. You see a lot of projects out there Solana comes to mind, where it's, there's so much hype behind it, and then you stop to think, how are they making their money? And I'm not a smart pickle, but I can't think of how they're necessarily making their money. Layer zero, zero token, there is a use case for it. I know that's something you sort of spoke on. I think it was yesterday with Mythic Squad. Maybe elaborate a bit on that, and then then we'll pick on you for another question I have for you.
Sure. Well, first, TBG is exactly right. I mean, we're not owed anything. People think that they deserve an airdrop for one reason or another, but nobody actually deserves an airdrop. I try to inform people on like what they can do in order to hopefully position themselves in the best possible route. But even I didn't get an airdrop on all the wallets that I bridged tokens back and forth for hours on, because, I did Sybil stuff. I basically did that. So I got some layer zero in some wallets and I didn't in others, and I get it. It's not a perfect science by any means. I did want to mention though that one of the videos that that TBG did a while ago was about the Merkley bridge, and I remember watching that and going like, God, this bridge, there's no real reason to use it unless you're sibling the entire layer zero protocol. It's basically like mint these fake tokens or NFTs, send them from one place to another place. And it was great because it allowed me to actually go out there and figure out like, oh, I haven't been to this chain before. I haven't gone to that one. I haven't done this. And then I started thinking in the back of my mind, this is the perfect way to trap people that are, just going out there to try to game the system. And lo and behold, one of the things they said is, oh yeah, this Merkley protocol is a Sybil farming, tool. And I was like, God, I'm glad I only did that with one of my wallets, because I could have spent a lot more time and a lot more money doing that exact thing. And lo and behold, the day the airdrop comes out, guess who sells off all 102,000 of their zero tokens to crash the price in the first minute of trading? Merkley.
No way. Oh God.
Merkley also gave a ton of tokens to all the users, right? In the RFP.
It's so poor of them to do things like that. And it's just like TBG was saying, I mean, these founders, they're basically staking themselves on the fact that this is going to be how their employees, how the people that believed in them, how their investors are going to make out over the long run. Now, we all know that tokens are going to sell off after an airdrop. It's just, it's human nature. You want to collect your money. You want to go into something new, the new shiny object. What I'm excited about is that with zero, it's going to hit that equilibrium, which it already has. So my whole thing is, if you haven't sold it yet, and I haven't even gone out and collected yet, I'm holding on to this bad boy because I've used the protocol. I know so many smart people that have used the protocol. It's going to take over, and your bridge fees are paid in zero. If you look back on how much bridge fees Jewel was converted into over the last year and a half, it's a lot. I mean, a lot of money has come into the actual layer zero ecosystem from all the different protocols out there that have used it. So I think that it's got long-term potential. I like protocols that actually make money. It's not just smoke and mirrors. Like with some of these tokens that are governance tokens like Arbitrum and Optimism and even ZK Sync, they don't have a use case. I mean, ETH is their gas. I mean, they're just a governance protocol. But with zero token, it's got some utility. It's got some ability to make money. And there's a great team behind it. I think it's going to be very well suited long term. That being said, ZK Sync is one of my favorite protocols ever. I think that everything's going to be built on ZK technology at some point. If ZK Sync wins out, they will be the only layer 2 that's ever needed, because everything will build layer 3s on top of it, and they'll use their own gas token, and it'll be almost instantaneous and next to free. So I think that could be a huge draw in the long term as well.
A question for you, KP, as far as your RFP that, very much under the radar. I'm surprised you didn't start with opening with, I got you guys all some money. And you wouldn't say that necessarily, but I know you're thinking it. And if you're not, you should. I mentioned it before any of it sort of came down to fruition. The sheer fact you thought of including us in an RFP, community, content creators, if you were participating, and DFK as a whole, with Hunt, you included these individuals. You said something to the effect of 50,000 zero tokens. Is that correct? That were sort of distributed. Is that a good guess?
I think it came out to about $50,000 total. I know that all of you guys that are up here with me got some, and I appreciate TBG for going out and defending the fact that the RFP was submitted for everybody. There's 2,500 wallets that went out based on the fact if you want to hunt, if you have a Gen Zero, if you're a content creator that got in touch with me, not necessarily that you were a DFK person, but if you're from Halliday or Donate 3, I love those guys, by the way. Lots of people out there, you guys don't play DeFi Kingdoms. They, for one reason or another. That doesn't mean that they're not awesome people that come on and make great content and do things behind the scenes. So I love everybody that is actually out there in Web3 that's generating interest and, bringing new masses into the game. And that's really cool. So yeah, Sarge, I think for the main part, I think there was probably about $50,000 worth of zero tokens. I mean, that might be a much bigger number though, if the zero token goes up. So it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars that, DeFi Kingdoms people or anybody that's been playing makes over time. So I'm excited about that. That was really cool. And not only am I excited about that, but Brian Pellegrino, the founder of Layer Zero, and your tweet, Sarge, you put out there, over the next 36 months, there's going to be 3 more airdrops. So if you have bloater tokens, if you've got the blow coin, if you're going to be bridging it from one chain to the next, guess what? That's going to actually earn you some more zero airdrops. So this could be the gift that keeps on giving. I'm excited about that.
And that is impressive. Kupo, were you like me? Were you pleasantly surprised you got anything outside of the DFK and the DFK Today airdrop? I know I had 1,500 sort of messages when I sort of looked up my wallet, but I thought, you know what, they're microtransactions. Am I really gonna get anything out of it? Yeah, I was ready for zero, and I was gonna be happy for anything. And lo and behold, I got myself a nice airdrop for doing nothing other than what I do on a regular basis, which is just play DFK. I suspect you did about the same, Kupo. It was just your day-to-day DFK grind that got you some of these tokens. I mean, what are your thoughts there? It's a pleasant surprise for you.
A very pleasant surprise. I was actually quite impressed with the amount that I actually earned there. Thanks to KP's contribution also for getting us that little extra bit. But just by playing DFK, just to know that just by playing a game, just by doing my normal routine, sending items back and forth and just doing what I did on a daily basis actually earned me a little bit more. So when I opened that up, I was like, whoa, that is a little bit more than I was expecting to get. I was expecting to get like a little paycheck, and they just basically just dropped a big wad in front of me. I'm like, wow. So I actually did actually convert all of my zero over. I didn't want to hold on to that. I actually got it when it was one of those green candles. I put half of it on the DFK chain, and I put the rest of it over into Blow 2.0. Just so I can get myself a little bit more going on there to get myself back into where it all came from, honestly.
And that's what's great about free internet money, right? You can choose to keep it in the ecosystem, you can move it around, but even by sort of removing it from selling off your Layer Zero token, you're still participating in a sense, right? With putting it back into DFK, you're gonna sort of accumulate some of these transactions that may inevitably qualify you for another airdrop. Now, mind you, my understanding is that it won't be as juicy as this one we saw. But again, free money is free money. I'll take it whichever way it comes.
Yeah, absolutely. What I was actually more pleasantly surprised about, I saw a lot of people posting what they did via transaction-wise on X, and then how many tokens they got. I had a lot less transactions than a lot of people out there, but I actually earned more than some of these people. So I'm guessing that it was also based on maybe the quantity of the items that you might have done with the.
Well, it's sort of interesting.
How much jewelry is staked?
Oh, you know what? That's it. You're right. I actually have quite a bit of jewels staked.
I did the math. I think it comes out to 88% of whatever you have staked in dollar value. If you have a $5 zero price.
There we go. That actually makes a lot more sense. I do have a generous amount of staked both S and C jewel.
I saw someone, and I can't remember who it was, but it was someone who had staked, I think it was 250,000 jewel tokens, and they got a very nice airdrop. KP, do you know more about that? I saw you on mute.
It was Jerry K. And he got a 1,900 zero airdrop in one wallet, and I believe a 1,700 in another wallet, and he had some significant jewels staked. But that's 3,600 zero tokens, you guys, comes out to be what, $15,000, $16,000. I mean, that's awesome for just, staking your stuff inside the game, being able to like, play and do the things that you would want to do and get almost 20 grand. I mean, people are always like whining and complaining about prices of different tokens, but now you can actually get these airdrops in the game and make at least some of your money back and reinvest it. I saw that he took a big chunk of that and ended up spending like 1.1 ETH was another one of his posts to buy another big bag of jewels. So it just goes from one place to the other and it helps prop up the entire, community. I love that about it.
Yeah. BG?
I was surprised that DFK did not utilize the fact that this happened to sort of promote. I was very disappointed. I have been telling everyone in my Patreon, I tell people, because people are like, oh, what's the eligibility and whatever. And I'm like, guys, I literally got 88% of whatever I staked in dollar value. Like that, like where else are you going to get that in like with just this RFP? Now that's not gonna be a guarantee for the future, but that is something. If I'm DFK, I am shouting that because that's a hook. Because you know how reactive a lot of people in the crypto space are. They're like they would literally jump in on that to hope for the next zero drop that they could see something significant like that.
Oh, absolutely. It's something I had brought up. I think and for better or for worse, I get it. I know the team's hyper focused on PvP and they've got other priorities. This was very much sort of a cherry on top for them, unexpected cherry on top for them. But it's free. It's a free marketing opportunity. Take advantage of it. I know there's been some of that organically, but it's great to see it from the community. I know I shared I posted a thing or two, but but it'd be nice to sort of run with it. You don't get many opportunities like this. Is huge win for the team, huge win for the players here, player community. On that note, speaking of tweets, speaking of Jewel, Brown Gent, you had tweeted out. I saw you very much like on the Jewel DFK train today, or maybe it was just I was looking and I kept seeing some of your posts. You were very much hyping up the fact that I mentioned earlier you've been sort of laying low, but it doesn't mean you've not been participating and sort of engaging with DFK. You're very bullish on Jewel in a time when people and the markets maybe would have you thinking otherwise. Tell us a bit about that. What are your thoughts there?
I have a couple of points there. First thing is I've completely flipped on my view of DFK and what to value. December gave us a lot of really good data, which is when we first saw that little kind of spark where like all the gaming coins went up, we saw Jules skyrocket like 7x. You guys remember I was very vocal there about selling. People got upset about me about it. So you know what? I told myself I'm not going to post it publicly anymore. I don't need the grief. I'm doing this at my own expense. Why would I even do this? It hurts me taking profit, right? So now that's behind the Patreon. But what we saw with this was, despite all that, nothing really changed in the prices of our in-game assets. We didn't really see that sort of flow. We may have seen a trickle effect a bit to the power tokens in Crystal and Jade, but nothing significant. It was not a 7x, right? It was like maybe a 1.5x or a 1.4x. I didn't see anything else happen. And what made it very clear to me was there's going to be two phases to when DeFi Kingdoms as well. And I sort of was talking, I think I said to Dags on Twitter earlier as well, the same thing, which is when people are just speculating and when we see a rotation of gaming, which we will see again, I expect Jewel to skyrocket. That does not mean I expect the game assets to skyrocket. The in-game assets will skyrocket when people are not speculating just on gaming as a sector, but really DeFi Kingdoms as a game. And until that focus happens, things like Gen Zeros, land, I do not want to invest in them. Somebody messaged me today and said, hey, I want to sell you a Gen Zero. And I was like, thanks for reaching out, but I'm good, because I would rather hold Jewel. And what I've been doing, I have a public wallet, which you guys know. I've been stacking Jewel there whenever I get like money from GFK Helper or whatever, or when I sell heroes, or every so often I'll bridge something from AVAX and buy some Jewel if there's a dip. But I also have other wallets where I'm literally just stacking a bunch of Jewel. I have way more Jewel on other wallets. And the reality, and people won't like to hear this, you guys know this, You know what's going to happen. What I will do when the thing pumps. I'm not going to sell it at a 2x, but I will not be holding it for a long period of time. But I do think it's fundamentally undervalued right now. I think it is overcorrected. I'm not a jewel maxi by any means, but I do think when the rotation happens, and this is applicable for everything, if you see something strong that has good fundamentals and you believe in it long term, people have like ADHD. They're running to the next shiny thing. So right now, people care about like political memes or stupid cats and dogs and whatever. Then they rotated to like GameStop and all that stuff when Roaring Kitty was posting about it. And when people focus one way, things sell off. So same thing with runes. Runes is sold off. I've been buying a bit of runes as well, like on ordinals, right? And the idea here is you want to put your bets and buy stuff when people aren't looking at it. And when they come back at it, they're going to pay you 5, 6x. And when you sell it, you go buy the things that aren't being focused on. And I'm just going to keep doing that over and over again. And that has worked out very well this cycle for me.
Hey, no, it's fair. I don't blame you for doing that. Kupo, let me ask you this question. It almost feels, and I wouldn't say it feels because it's almost a fact, I would say, with with the votes being implemented, it feels like the team's doubling down on the idea of yes, we were very popular, at inception for our APRs and our NFTs, and that was fun and that's great. But we're shift. There's a paradigm shift. We are now sort of doubling down on gameplay, so much so that we're sort of exerting all our efforts to get PvP out. Everyone and everything else be damned. Do you sort of see this shift where, PvP rolls out and people start looking, and and Jewel's great, but maybe some of these assets, they start becoming interesting to outsiders and to people. What do you think?
Well, I certainly feel that once we get a little bit more gameplay, it'll put some eyes back on the project. Of course, you've got yourself your typical investors, you got your players also, and the Void Hunts has been great, but it's getting a little stale. So I do know that we have the actual gamer aspect side that wants to get a little bit more going on. And if you attract the gamers, then you can probably attract some of the investors, which means that they can also start focusing on the next major thing that they wanted to also. So the PvP is definitely one of the bigger elements that they've been putting a grand push into. It's something that's been talked about for years now, something that the community has been really wanting. So if this actually pulls out to be a big win, they can build on top of that, and they can just branch themselves out for the next big thing, and it really could be a big game changer for DFK. But yes, a lot of the focus is being put on PvP. We're hoping that we get it out relatively soon. We know that they've been working diligently with this, or talk about partnerships and other things right now with other people. We got metas going on also. So it's really just a matter of time to see how well the project can lift off with this whole PvP concept. Will it be like, give it like a second opportunity for themselves to kind of be like, we're a game, but we're also trying to get investors in here at the same time? Or is it something that they're going to have to look back at the drawing board again and see what next turn they have to take instead?
KP, what do you think? What are your thoughts? I mean, Jewel's great, absolutely undervalued. We've got these in-game assets. You've sort of you're taking the bull by the horns on this one and trying to create utility for a token that has no in-game utility. What do you think is in store for the future of DFK when it comes to DFK as a whole? And does Jewel pump mean to you, that the rest of the in-game assets follow suit?
Great question. I actually love TBG's point earlier that, Jewel is it's not even really an in-game asset anymore. I think that when we look back on it and when it first got to $20, there was no utility whatsoever. It was a farm coin. There was nothing there at all. And people have a tendency to think like, wow, it hit $1 billion market cap. There was nothing, not one single iota of utility behind it whatsoever than possibly, stake your Jewel for X Jewel and get some kind of a reward later on in the future. With that being said, I've just become such more of a meme coin aficionado ever since I started doing the background study for when Blow got created, and talking to the founders, talking to the people that have made their own coins in the past and what they've done to be successful. From the people from Big Red to the people from Kulo to the people that have done all kinds of little community coins. It's really cool to see that when you get a group of people that are passionate about one thing or another, you can form a DAO, you can form a community, you can form a Patreon. I mean, TBG's got a really good, group of people that are all, they all care about one thing, and that's like maximizing their airdrops or, maximizing their rewards. Whatever it is that you're going to want to do, you're going to probably have 200 or 300 people that share that same type of passion. So I've just become more of, I used to think meme coins were shit. I was like, why would I get behind this Dogecoin? It's just a pile of crap. It's just inflationary. Nobody's ever going to want it. Elon Musk tweets about it. It goes up in value. Who cares? But people got excited and they started buying it and it went up in value. So who am I to say what's good and what's not? I just look for what the current trend is and I want to follow it. I've seen so many things that have come and gone and I've like, man, I missed out on that one just because I thought I was smarter than the crowd. I'm not. I let the crowd now tell me what they like. If they like ZK Sync, I'm all good with ZK Sync. If they like Layer Zero, I'm all good with Layer Zero. If they like Dogecoin, I'm good with Dogecoin or Shiba Inu or Brett or whatever the flavor of the month is. It's just like, okay, great. I want to ride that trend while it's here. I like the rotational system that TBG was talking about. You look for the things that people don't care about. I've always been one for Near. I thought Near was going to skyrocket. And there's only one reason behind that, is because Ilya Pekushkin is a freaking mad genius. And he comes from an AI background. He was one of the founders of Google AI. I mean, the guy is just a mad genius. I thought Near was going to be the AI play. It might be. But it hasn't become that yet. And I was buying it when it was $1 and $2. And I think TBG and I talked about it in December. It was like, okay, Near is a data availability layer. It is like Celestia, but 10 times faster. There's just so much to like about it, but nobody cares, right? It's the best tech, but nobody cares. So, all right, I'm not
Solana and Solana memes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the fact is that none of us up here are going to be able to tell you what you can do to get rich. It's just, you've got to get behind something that you really like. I know that there was one guy who posted about how he made $18 million in Dog with Hat. Just an average guy, but he found the community in September of last year, bought someone that was like a penny or two, decided that this was kind of cool, wrote it up, sold some off. Then he went back down to like 9 cents and he loaded his truck because he'd already seen what that actual coin was going to do and wrote it up to like $2 and then sold off the majority of everything because he hit his number and he said, okay, I'm done. And that's what we all need to do, is say, like, how much is enough for you? Because otherwise we write it up and down and up and down. And I did that. And everybody's probably done that before. When you hit that number, cool, I'm good. I'm out. See ya. Sayonara. And that's where we all need to be when it comes to crypto.
It's a psychological battle. And I envy my brother, for example. He's very sort of like no emotions when it comes to trading. He rode like the Ethereum up, the up and then cash out. I was like, what are you doing? It's gonna go up more. He's like, no, I'm good. This was back, the last time it rode up. He's like, I'm liquidating all my crypto assets. I'll be back. He's like, but, and he left, and he was smart for it. And then, a few months ago, he's like, all right, just want to let you know I'm back in Ethereum. I put in, X amount of money. It's like, really? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. What, I should be following his signals, when things are hot and when they're cold. But it takes that level of diligence to say, hey, you know what? Two different things, right? For me, DFK is about fun. To me, it's fun. I've said it before. If you want to make boku bucks, there's other projects. There's other Dog with Hat, Solana as a token. There's other projects for you to make quick money today. To me, DFK is about a long-term investment, about having fun. It's about a community. And I know that, and I realize that, and I hope Jewel hits $100 one day. But I know one day is not going to be tomorrow, and I understand that. Does that mean I'm leaving? No, I'm sticking around because I think it's fun. I think it's awesome. But it's sort of an interesting perspective to sort of understand a project, understand what's going on, and sort of, be real with yourself sometimes. I'm gonna cut it short today because we've got some coffee with Kupo episodes we're gonna record after this. But I want to give you guys an opportunity to sign off and give us some final takes. I'll start with you, BG. Any takes, any hot takes you want to share before we sign off?
Yeah, sure. I'll just sort of follow up what Christian was saying around dog with hat. So it's funny because things change and people can't have their attention on one thing for too long. So when it was going up, it was like, look at that, it's a dog with a hat. And today, what I was hearing was, all it has is a hat. I'm like, was that the whole thing? I'm so confused. I'm so confused. But a lot of these are like beta plays, right? So like Whiff is the top beta play for Solana, and Solana has been correcting for the last like few months. It's gone from like 190 to 135 or it almost broke 130, the last liquidity zone before 100 today. It bounced back, thankfully, but it was really close to just heading down to 100 if it fell through that. Now, while that's happening, things like Whiff and other memes will sell off, right? So then what will happen is when they do well, Whiff and all the other memes will skyrocket. The same thing goes with Pepe, Brett, and for the alpha for everyone here, ETH looks like it is holding strong. If you are looking at ETH beta plays, so Pepe, Brett, look at the top memes on the ETH chain. They're too big to fail, basically. That's probably the one thing I would say. When you're looking at meme coins, yes, you could try to get in. Most of them are pump and dumps when they're small. But the ones that are like big, the ones that are like 1 billion market cap or plus, they're already somewhat big enough that they can't fail, or that it's hard for them to fail. And that is the ones, or those are the ones that when ETH rips, these will skyrocket. And those are where I'm placing my bets right now. Cool.
Fair. KP, final thoughts. Maybe something on Blue before we go. Oh, you see what I did there?
Thanks, Sarge. Yeah, no, I think that, again, there's so many different ways that you can play these things. And I think that we all have come from a DeFi Kingdoms background. I don't think that, any of the DeFi Kingdoms coins are going to do necessarily very well before PvP comes out. I'm just hoping that we can, continue to have fun, enjoy the ecosystem and play what we want to play. But when it comes down to it, I love the ZK Sync technology. And guess what? Blow's going next. That snapshot just hit yesterday. So we're going to be on ZK Sync probably next week. Blow's going to be on probably 40 or 50 different chains, guys. I'm excited about it. I mean, when TBG first told me about Merkley, I was like, man, this thing is genius. These guys are going to make so much buku dollars. But then I was like, wow, I can do something similar to that. And not only that, the next RFP I generate is going to be like, oh, okay, it's not going to be 50,000, it's going to be 500,000. I see how much money they made. And I'm like, okay, we'll use some of this really cool technology, get a chance to learn about it more. I was chatting with Echo Construct earlier. He was staking his Blow, and he's like, hey, what is this token that I've got here? Guess what it is? We added it in there. It's actually pretty cool. It's ST Blow. I know that some of you probably won't get that, but I know that BG definitely does, because, when ETH first got staked, nobody wanted to stake their ETH because you couldn't do anything with it. And they got locked up for 3 freaking years. So they came out with Lido, staked ETH, where you could put it into DeFi. You could use it in different lending protocols. You could do all that cool stuff with it. And guess what happened? Everybody staked their ETH because they could not only get their 6 or 7% rewards, but then they could use it in Aave and all the other cool protocols that were out there and just double or triple that amount. I'm like, great. Degens want a degen. Give them what they want. Let them get airdrops. Let them use their tokens. Let them stake. Let them have fun and give them things with it, because that's what really builds a protocol. A lot of these meme coins are just memes. I totally get that. And I understand Dogfat's cool. But with Bloater Coin, I'm like, man, this has got so much more to go. And if it's successful, there's going to be weed. There's going to be others out there. There's going to be really cool things that come out. And it might not be just DeFi Kingdoms ecosystem. It could be Shrapnel. It could be, all these other games that are coming out with different tokens. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to this. Right. This bull market hasn't even started yet. That's the cool thing, is October, November is when we get started. That's like, I'm like so happy that we're still in this summer season when the fall hits. I wasn't even there really in October, November of 2020. I just watched as Bitcoin went from 10,000 to 60,000 in like 1 month. And I was like, oh my God. And then ETH went from like $80 to like 400. I was like, oh my God, I missed out on it all. But that was back then. And now I'm looking forward to that ride now.
Boy, you and me both. And it's it's a stark reminder as to how quick these things go. You go through months upon months of a bear market, and this bull run can feel like weeks in the grand scheme of things. But enjoy the ride, and I think the message here is enjoy the ride, but know to take some profits along the way, whatever and however that sort of whatever that means for you. Because that can be a short-lived ride there. Kupo, take us home. Any final thoughts here before we sign off?
Yeah, the crypto market is a rapidly changing market. We're kind of like in an era of meme coins right now, which is great. And I'm all on board for Blow at this time. But like you said, Doggone with the hat and all these other great little meme coins that are coming out is just incredible. Even like Big Red that we've all gotten to be very close with thanks to being with DFK. The zero tokens were a phenomenal little treat for us. It was something nice that we were able to benefit with. And we got the PvP that's going to be happening in DFK. But because, like I said, take your profits along the way, work with what you got to work with, know what you got to deal with when you're dealing with everything in the crypto, because it's going to be hitting us up pretty quickly once we get later into this year. Hopefully we get to see a big turnaround with these markets, and we're going to start seeing some of those nice green candles coming up closer to the end of this year. So I'm very bullish with what's going on right now, and I'm hoping for a good 2024.
I love it. Same here. A couple PSAs before I do sign us off. There is a Mythic Squad tournament tomorrow. Finals. I think there's 16 individuals participating. There is a sizable blow pool to the winner, so congrats there. And then if you're in the Southern California area and want to come hang out with KP, myself, and who knows who else shows up. SI might show up, maybe Action and CEO. Who knows who shows up. 1 p.m. till whenever at Battle Mage Brewing. Dr. J, unacceptable. That you can't be there this time around. Unacceptable. With that said, hey, it's been another great one. Thank you very much for joining us. Until next time, Sarge out, BG out, KP Kupo out. Thank you.